Breathe in, hold, and release. And with that, clap your hands, stomp your feet, get up out of your chair, do whatever you like to do. But we are back in the now, and we are on the sevens with Pi Frisbee Metatron. We are back to our show. So now I would like to open up the floor. If there's anyone that would like to say anything, give us a progress report. Somebody on this call, something manifested for them in the past couple of days, and it's really, really, really exciting. I'm really, I can see it, I can feel it. So I'm just encouraging all of us to continue to push forward with all of the manifesting goals, desires, and active pursuits that we are currently searching for. And you are in the right place to get it done. Um, it's good to have everybody here today. We are going to go straight into the lesson on today. We are still talking about the intellectual self. We know that the intellectual self is attached to the throat chakra. Um, the intellectual self is home of our learning capacity, determines how and what we learn and communicate, and it's through our intellectual self how we express our various truths. Oh, thank you. Today, we want to continue on the lesson we started on Tuesday, which is truth, morality, and your belief systems. And today, we want to hit it again. We pull layers of the onion back. So today, we actually want to talk about what we have all been told and taught. The theme for today is test, as in test everything for truth and common sense and logic. We do all understand that the winners write the history and control the flow of information. That is no more so evident than what we as Americans are experiencing right now. The winners write the history and control the flow of information. Anyone got anything they want to chime in about that? I know somebody wants to say something about that. The winners, the loser doesn't get a chance to tell his story. Quite sure, uh, uh, the side that did not win has a different opinion about what transpired than the winners do. The winners write the history and control the flow of information. Now, I want to start off. Yeah, David, you wanted to say something?
I was gonna say you stole the words right out of my mouth. The other day when you were talking about truth, I was thinking about perspective, and I like to use the example of a basketball game. If you lost and someone says, "Hey, how was the game?" you might have a negative perception because you lost. Whereas the winning team, they're gonna say, "Oh man, that game was great."
Absolutely, absolutely, absolutely,
You
absolutely. And because of that perception, because of that mentality, because of that way of thinking and being and feeling, we have to really test everything that we have been told. We cannot just sit here and think and believe that what has been said and what has been presented is authentic and the truth. What we have been presented with is one side of a story. And And there, don't get me wrong, there is truth in the side of their story. It is. But there is also truth in the other side of the story. You know, I want to start off with the mindset of the winners write the history and control the flow of information. And we want to start off with a facetious statement: only the best will do. I think some of y'all already know where I'm going to go with this. Only the best will do. When you're writing history, when some of us have websites and some of us have social media bios, and some of us have, things that are out there in the public domain. And if you go back and look at what you have written about yourself, only the best will come evident to you. Uh, and what I mean by only the best will do, for the winners writing the history and controlling the flow of information, normally, there is an overemphasis on the positive and a minimization or even omission of the negative and the evil. Y'all understand what I'm saying? Overemphasizing the positive. Let's just look at let's just take one incident in American history, and let's talk about this. Only the best will do by overemphasizing the positive and minimizing or omitting the negative. Those of us that grew up 60s, 70s, probably even up into the 80s, we were taught pretty much the same curriculum in public school, and we had the same books. And oh, by the way, the reason why we all have the same books is because the CIA is the one who approves any book that is published and or printed in America. So that's why we all were taught the same things in school. Um, but let's look at the story of how the colonizers settled America. And let's take this concept of only the best will do, overemphasize the positive, minimize or omit the negative. Anybody else other than me thought that there was not a lot of detail when it came to the part about how the settlers acquired the land from the indigenous folks? Wasn't a lot. It wasn't a lot about the transaction. Was there a transaction? Wasn't a lot about it. When they bring out. Oh, go ahead, David. Go ahead. I know you chiming in. Go ahead, brother.
No, I'm gonna say they use this weird logic about the indigenous people not having contracts and systems set up, to even sell it. It's like they villainize the native people for not being,
Absolutely.
and conniving and stuff.
Conniving and all of that. I was the kid that, first of all, I did not believe the story in the book about the Battle of the Little Bighorn. I didn't believe it. There is no way folks who are not even used to the terrain of the land, ain't no way you just gonna march through and just take over. There's no way. They emphasize the positive about Thanksgiving, the first Thanksgiving. We gave them food, and we came together and we all sang kumbaya around a big fire. But they did not tell the part about the smallpox in the blankets. Yes, Victorious.
I also want to add on to what David said about just with regards to these contracts and things like that, because one of the things that we learned in history is that Louisiana was purchased for a string of beads, or
Absolutely.
And in addition to that, also to where the Native Americans, particularly the Black Native Americans that still live in this country to this day, which they're saying all of us came from Africa, what a lot of us failed to realize with a lot of the like other like African ancient groups, a lot of our history was passed down orally. A
Absolutely.
lot of the stuff wasn't written down. And like what we failed to realize today is that the written language is a relatively new technology.
Very new.
So I just wanted to add that.
Yeah, yeah. Writing and alphabets and letters and all of that is very, very new in the grand scheme of history. It's very, very, very new. You know, going back even further, um, uh, all of the history, all of the knowledge that was accumulated in ancient Kemet, Alexander the Great took it on a ship and dumped it in the middle of the ocean. Just dumped it all in the middle of the ocean. And that's what happens. That's what happens when you have a strong takeover. You have to it's in the tyrant's playbook. You have to clean up the history and or clean up how you come by acquiring what you have acquired. That's rule number one in tyranny. To be a successful tyrant, you must do that, and you must continue as you evolve and get further away from the initial bad incident. You must continue to overemphasize the positive, and you have to minimize and omit the negative. You have to deny. Those of us that deep in politics and deep in law, we understand the concept of plausible deniability. If I really don't know about it, I really don't know about it. But you really do, you know, overemphasizing of the positive, uh, um, and minimizing and omission of the negative. That is what winners who write the history and control the flow of information. Right now, today, we have a situation that is going on worldwide, worldwide. And depending upon who was in control of the flow of information, you got what you got. Right now, we are getting an overemphasization of what positive effects a remedy may or may not have. And we're getting minimization, even omission of any of the negative effects of said remedy. Now, I am skeptical. I'm just skeptical of everything by nature, have been since I come out of my mama's portal. I find it very hard to believe that no one is reporting any negative effect of a remedy. And I find it even more troubling that people that I know personally that have expressed negativity about the remedy, not from something they heard, but from their own experience, and it has been omitted from the platforms. You got people who are giving their own verifiable testimonies about it, and it's getting wiped off the platform. We are not being given the full story. I don't believe that any medication that man can ever make will be 100% effective for anything.
Can I say something?
Absolutely, you can.
Even the fact that you have to discuss this or talk about this topic in this manner
Yes.
is, yeah, it just says a whole lot.
Yes, yes, because there are certain buzzwords that will get me banished So I have to go around the mulberry bush about
Mm.
this. I have to go around the mulberry bush because I have to let everybody know that there is another side than what is being pumped and propagated and propagandized to us day after day after day after day, day after day. Only the best will do. Oh, when you're writing history and you control the flow of information, only the best will do. Yes, only the best will do. Let's move on. Acceptance and belief of history as written is mandatory. Y'all understand what I mean by that? Acceptance and belief of history slash and or current events as written or presented is mandatory, or you are branded crazy, seditious, disruptive, and this is a new one, a misinformation spreader. So if any of us have anything to say opposite of what the standard flow and what is standard operating procedure right now, if any of us have anything to say against that, we get silenced, we get, branded crazy, you uh uh they send law after you, they send the guys with the short hats after you. I don't I don't get how hearing the full story is going to be harmful to anyone. I believe that, and I believe this from the beginning of this whole situation. The people who were going to buy in to the horse shit were going to buy into it if they heard the full story or not. And the people who are not going for it are not going for it, whether they heard the whole story or not. Yes, Victorious.
This is extremely dangerous because for people that are aware, this doesn't afford us the opportunity to make informed decisions because we're not getting the full story.
Absolutely.
And then it's even
Absolutely.
deeper that you're being pressured by society. Like there's almost a witch hunt for people that haven't taken it, Like,
Absolutely.
yeah.
Absolutely.
And they're blaming us for the spike in the numbers because of the people that have not taken it yet.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I heard that there are going to be folks coming to people's houses,
It's already
knocking on your
started in
door,
some states.
knocking on your door, asking you about the remedy. I am looking forward to somebody coming and knocking on my door. I can tell you for a fact that whatever transpires after that knock will go viral on social media. I guarantee you. I can't wait. I cannot wait for someone to come and ask me a personal medical question that, unless you are a trained physician caring for me, you have no business even knowing. You have no business even knowing. Can't wait. I can't wait for somebody to approach me and ask me what is my status, because they're going to know. As soon as they ask the question, they're going to know what my status is. Acceptance and belief, it's mandatory. You cannot even appear not to accept the okey doke. You can't even appear. Some of us are already feeling this, not from a government level, not from a job level. We feel this from our own families, our own friends, people that we know. You got folks looking at you crazy. Come on, y'all. We let a virus split us up like this.
My sister
We
and
let
I
we let a
stopped
bad
talking for
cold.
4 months
Yeah.
behind it.
See,
Yeah, we stopped talking
we
for
let a
4
bad
months.
cold Absolutely. Absolutely. Fear and ignorance are powerful, man. Fear and ignorance are powerful. You know, they're talking about a variant of the situation, and they are claiming all of these folks are coming down with this variant, and I have a hard time believing that they're doing that because there is no test that can determine the variant. So how in the hell are they saying anyone is being afflicted with it when you can't even test to determine if you have it? And the original test for the situation, CDC has quietly changed the protocol. Yet they haven't went back and changed the numbers. I mean, when it first was apparent, and they were somebody tested a brick, a brick like that you would throw through a window with a PCR test, and the brick came back COVID positive. That right there should have been enough to have everybody saying, "Whoa, whoa, 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 what's going on?" But if you don't accept and believe what is going on, we are seeing how people are separating and ostracizing and throwing around all of this this information, and depending upon what side you're on, you're good. If you're on the side of the ones who are controlling it, you're good because you can just spew all of their information and never ever get challenged. Never, they don't fact check each other.
But can I say
Acceptance
something
of,
with regards with fact
yes,
checking? Because then it's like, whose facts are we really checking them against when they are the ones that's creating the content
absolutely,
and
absolutely.
steering the
Check the facts.
narratives?
Right. They're crafting the narrative, they're controlling the flow of information, and they wrote the history. So of course they're gonna fact check and it's gonna be all right because it's all coming from the same book,
Exactly.
from the same playbook. So I don't mind being branded crazy, seditious, uh, disruptive, and a misinformation spread. I don't mind it because that means that I'm free thinking and I'm not just going to accept the okey doke. Let's move on. Somebody famous said this, and it is so true. I want to get y'all's opinion on this. The bigger the lie, the more people will believe it.
You see it happening now, right in front of your face.
Right in front of our face. The bigger the lie, you tell a little bitty lie, nah, you're gonna get challenged on it, you'll back up. But the bigger the lie, the more folks will believe it. You know, I am not sure that there is any type of aircraft that can get out of Earth's atmosphere intact. So I am skeptical of NASA's story on space travel. Very, very skeptical. I was a kid when all of this first transpired in the middle and late 60s. And I remember being in school, I was in class, and they stopped instruction and they would let us watch stuff pertaining to uh, the Apollo flights. And I kind of thought at that time, I kind of thought that that was kind of strange that they didn't let us watch any other TV in school to let us watch that. The bigger the lie, the more people will believe it. Yes, somebody had something.
No, I just was saying it's indoctrination.
Yes, Indoctrination 101. Indoctrination 101. Now, I kind of feel like this. If you had done something that no one else had ever done, you would save all of the records and all of the memorabilia and all of the content related to said event. However, NASA has admittedly told everyone that they destroyed and threw away everything concerning going to the moon. And their reason for, we're not going back, so there's no need to keep it.
Not to mention
How is that?
all of those astronauts have gone into like depression and attempted suicide because they have these big secrets that they can't share with anybody else because of the lies they've told.
Absolutely. 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 I remember one of the astronauts, somebody cornered him somewhere and he was ready to fight about it. He was ready to fight about it. I'm not saying we didn't go to the moon. What I am saying is the records of that should have been kept. And it makes me suspect that you threw it away. I mean, we think about your high school. Think about the high school that each one of us went to growing up. I know your high school had it just like mine did. There was a hallway in the administration building that had all these cabinets with trophies and plaques and all this stuff. And in our gym, we had stuff that, when the team won the championship in 1953 and when this one did this, and they don't throw none of that away. That's just a sports championship or a band championship or something like that. We as a nation, we commemorate our best shit. Hell, we even commemorate 9/11. It's coming around. 20-year anniversary. It's coming around. I guarantee you there'll be shit plastered all over TVs, and never forget, never forget, never forget.
No, hi, how are you?
Hi, Jolene.
Hi. And
How are
when
you?
9/11, when I'm good, I'm still at work. That's why I'm still on mute. When 9/11 happened, they had to go to court to stop the repeat of the plays of the video. So every year they do not play the amount. I mean, it was just banned. I was in the Bronx at that time, and they had to go to court to stop it, just to stop. So every year they don't play specifically. Maybe in other states they play it off, but in New York, no.
Right. Well, I could tell you when they did the 15th anniversary of it, it was all over everything in California. They even, there was one channel that even played it from the moment that the first plane hit and played the whole CNN or whatever, CNN's news feed. They played the entire thing. Wow. So what I'm saying is, we know in this country, we commemorate shit, especially the positive shit we've done. We commemorated. We just had a commemoration this month, 4th of July. It commemorated year after year after year after year. The bigger the lie, the more people will believe it. We will look, the first of all, the Declaration of Independence wasn't signed on July 4th. 1776. It was started July 2nd, 1776, but it wasn't even signed completely till 13 years later.
Can I say something
We'll talk
about that?
Absolutely.
And so again, here goes astrology. The reason why we celebrate July 4th is even deeper than that. It has something to do with the sun lining up with the star series every year around July 4th. Yeah.
Yes, it does. Yes, it
So
does.
it has
And in
more to
17,
do with their rituals.
yes, and in 1776, it lined up with series on the 2nd. That's why they started, and all the first original folks who signed it on the 2nd, because series lined up. The bigger the lie, the more people will believe it. You know why we have Christmas Day on the 25th of December? Ain't because Jesus was born that day or none of that. Christmas Day is on the 25th because on the 22nd of December, the sun, S-U-N, in the sky, drops to its lowest point in relation to the earth. And it stays there the 22nd, 23rd, 24th. And then on the 25th, the sun rises up to its highest point again in relation to the earth. Now, anybody that been to church, that sounds like the death, burial, and resurrection and benediction, doesn't it?
Of Jesus Christ.
Because somebody allegedly was dead 3 days, and then on the 3rd day he rose. Kind of looks like 22nd, 23rd, 24th, and then the 25th. The bigger the lie, the more people will believe it. How many on this call still believe Lee Harvey Oswald killed John Kennedy by himself from the Texas Book Depository, 3rd floor, through a tree into a moving target? The bigger the lie, the more people will believe it. I know for a fact that the young bucks that were organizing in Oakland in the late 60s were not domestic terrorists. I know what they were about. But the lie came out from our government that painted them in a whole different picture. So that's why it was justifiable and it was okay to just level their place in Los Angeles. Only the best will do. Only the best will do. Let's move on. The last one I want to talk about today is history and the control of information is rewritten when it suits them or when necessary. So let's say we got some uncomfortable shit in history. Oh, no worries. We just go and rewrite it. That's what's happening right now too. The revision of history for an event as major as the alleged slave trade. There's no history on it. They have rewritten it even from what they taught me in the beginning at school. They don't even teach that much now.
And now
what they taught then. Go ahead.
Now they want to take the word slavery out and call them indentured servants.
Right. Only the best will do. Only the best will do. History, the story gets rewritten to fit the narrative.
But you know what? That's what goes back. You know, I was let me close my door. I was a clinical social worker in San Diego, level 1 hospital. I worked in the trauma. What I saw in the trauma did not make it into the news. But let me tell you, something that happened in New York is worldwide. It's worldwide because they want to maintain New York and especially the Bronx as the worst place to be, and it's not. And by you saying that they played that in California or something, because I was in San Diego, they didn't play a lot of 9/11. I lived in San Diego for 8 years. They didn't play 9/11, maybe other areas, because I was looking to see how they responded, but they don't even need that information to really still have a negative outlook on New York. Anything that they can grab hold that, you know, that shows New York in destruction, they will show it. But other places like California, especially in San Diego, they'll protect it because that's they want to protect the money. They maintain, you know, people who travel back and forth on vacation and stuff. They want to show that.
Absolutely.
So they control the information. They control, and then when the Bronx is not. My daughter still live in the Bronx, so it's not like this is worse than the worst. I'm sick of that.
Absolutely. I have a friend that lives in Chicago. Now, yes, there is some tragic shit that happens on a weekly basis in Chicago. There's some things that go on in Chicago. My friend has told me under no uncertain terms that it is not anywhere near what they report.
Mm.
I kind of believe that, because I believe if it was as bad as they overemphasize it, I would think people would just move and just leave and wouldn't even be living there. Yeah, there are things that go on in a weekend in Chicago, just like things go on in a weekend in LA, things go on in a weekend in Vegas, things go on in a weekend in Terre Haute, Indiana, things go on everywhere. But do you see, they don't talk about the stuff that goes on in all these other cities. It's always Chicago. Go ahead, Jolene.
Yeah, they just talk about the same places, the same places. I'm sick of it.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And it just shows you how they really
History.
do control the narrative of the media.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Do you guys know that there is a panel of folks in some news organization that sit around and they pick which stories are broadcast? Because you guys have to know, of the 10 or 12 stories that are shown, there are a million others that aren't. And whatever the popular narrative is, or whatever the agenda is, they pick stories to fit those agendas. I mean, I can remember when President Chester Cheetah was in there, and all we kept hearing about was police brutality and all of that stuff. And now I hardly seen anything about it. Am I to be led to believe that all of a sudden the police ain't whooping nobody's ass no more? I mean, really? Is that where we're at now? That all of a sudden all it took was November 3rd, and now all of a sudden police is being haved and the protesters are being haved, and there's instant unity, and I don't think so.
If you just sit back and just think about all that transpired during the whole Black Lives Matter movement, you can really see how it was fueled by the media.
Absolutely. 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 I don't care what anybody tells me. A target that is burnt down by rioters and looters, that is just the same as the guided tour of the Capitol. For me, I mean, billions of dollars in destruction, tens of people killed, property damage, all of that. Nothing. Couple of hillbillies break a window at the Capitol, and the horror. Insurrection.
Let me tell you, that was this is okay. Fordham University is a really shopping area, busy area, and Fordham University is down the way. The Fordham University, that's where Denzel graduated. Beautiful campus, and Fordham is the top 20, right? It's a very good college. White kids go there and all that stuff. You do not see white students on Fordham Road at all. The night of those riots, who was in the middle of the night coming to the Fordham University, Fordham area, shopping area, destroying that area?
Yep.
Okay?
Yep.
Who? There's a video on Zoom that this Black girl who is from the Bronx was over there telling them off. So why are you here? You do not belong here. They were destroying the neighborhood.
Yes.
And it was going on 3rd Avenue, Fordham Road. Because during the day, you don't see those faces. You do not see those faces at all.
Right, right. I mean, we all know during all of those times, during that time last year, we know, whether you like them or not, which side was talking about defunding the police. We know whose that mantra is. Do you know recently that side has said that the other ones were the ones who said about defunding the police? See how they rewrote history from 6 months. It's hilarious. It really, when you can step back and get out of the matrix of their horseshit, you laugh because it is just hilarious. The winners write the history and control the flow of information. Anybody got any comments about this today?
Yep, I'm gonna just end on this note. A good example of that is that movie 1984.
Yep.
A perfect example of that.
Perfect example. Perfect example indeed. Anybody else want to chime in?
Yeah, you know, as always, man, I just appreciate you and I appreciate everybody on here. You know, I mean, I thought I found my tribe spiritually, and now, you know, I'm enjoying the intellectual vibe because, you know, it's hard to wrestle with this and think just the straight up truth or what makes sense, and then you hear all this nonsense, and then you hear people bickering about the nonsense, and you're just like the hypocrisy of 4th of July.
Yes.
But you bring up the 60s and, you know, black folks catching hell, and then they're like, why are you bringing up the past? Like, you bringing up 1776, I'm bringing up, you know, your grandma.
1965, right?
Yeah,
I'm closer to the president than you are, right?
And no, it's like, you know, to live with these hypocrisies and have to, you know, somehow face the world or continue without buying into it, you know, it's not popular to be unpopular.
Absolutely, absolutely, and I thank you for that, David. And I've always been a rebel. I've always been against the grain, so I don't mind being called crazy or seditious or any of that. However, for regular folks, it's troubling because you know that what you feel and believe is true, yet you're getting ostracized and castigated just because of a belief that is different than the propaganda that's being pumped. I mean, they're coming for your head if you're not lining up with everything that they say. They're coming for you. Well, this has been a great afternoon. I thank everybody for this. I want to leave everybody with this one thought. Trust your soul and your own common sense and question everything you have been and are currently being told. Again, trust your soul and own common sense and question everything you have been and are currently being told. This is being on the sevens with Pfeiffer's B Metatron, where we awaken, ascend, and expand. We are running through 88 steps into your mastered self. And somewhere along this journey, your mastered self awaits you. I appreciate and love every one of you guys, and I will see you all on Saturday. Goodbye for now.